A number of African-American candidates have thrown their hats in the ring for the big statewide seats. To discuss some of the big races today is Cameron Trimble. He is the former White House Director of Digital Engagement for the Biden White House. He also ran a record-breaking Black media program that was responsible for the largest investment in reaching Black voters in political history. Cameron is now the Executive Vice President for Precision Strategies. He's also a Howard alumni, and he joins us now. Welcome to the show, Cameron.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. This year, we have a number of African Americans running for U.S. Senate. Do you think Raphael Warnock's Senate win in Georgia last year changed the outlook for Black candidates looking to run for national office?
Yes, I think this is a record-breaking year. You have more than 11 Black candidates, both Democrat and Republicans, running for Senate, with 8 strong Democrats running for Senate across the country. I think Raphael Warnock was kind of a bellwether and really a call to so many candidates that may not have stepped up in other years, but have gone on to win their primaries, and many are poised to take the Senate in some really powerful states.
And speaking of Warnock, how do you see this race shaking out between Warnock and Herschel Walker there in Georgia?
I don't know if anybody's been following social media or the clips, but kind of every day there's a little bit of inadvertent comedy coming from Herschel Walker. So I think Raphael Warnock is really in the pole position, as you can see through polls and some of the record-breaking numbers he has with his fundraising. But I think also, in addition to Warnock, you've got people like in Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin, and then Val Demings in the battleground state of Florida, who are also poised to win, whether to come from behind or are already leading in the polls.
You know what? You brought up Val Demings, so let's talk about her. So she's raised a lot of money for her Senate campaign against Marco Rubio, but Florida is a red state. Do you think she'll have a good chance at stealing that seat?
Yes, I think she's an experienced politician. As a former police chief in Orlando, she also was an impeachment manager, so she's had a taste of the national stage. She was a reason why she was considered during Biden's run. She was on the very short list for vice president. Experienced speaker, and really deep ties throughout the state. While some polls do show her slightly behind, as she's been gaining significantly, and as you mentioned, like some of her fundraising and a lot of the energy that is in the state and around the country is kind of really pushing the headwinds her way.
Okay, let's move over to Kentucky now and look at that Senate race. The Democratic nominee, Charles Booker, he is taking on Rand Paul. Rand Paul is like one of the least liked politicians in America, but can a Black man win in a state that's only 7% African American?
I think Kentucky is a unique opportunity, a unique test case in the sense that they already have a Democratic governor. So there is a history within the state of electing Democrats. He has been elected. He has been an elected official twice, and he has strong roots throughout the state. So I think one thing that when you look at Charles Booker and several races where the African American population may not be as high, but we're turning the page in America, where you don't just have to have Black people vote for Black candidates. We can connect, and we are as American as anyone else. So we connect to all voters.
I like that, turning the page in America. Let's switch gears just a little bit. President Biden, he finally did what he promised yesterday. He forgave at least $10,000 of student loan debt. How do you think this will impact his standing with young Black voters?
The memes have already started. A lot of the chatter has been there. The Money Back Joe nickname has come back. But in all seriousness, I think this is kind of life changing. While some may have wanted more, the $10,000 that does come, and especially $20,000 for those who are Pell Grant recipients, really affects women of color. Black women traditionally hold some of the highest student loan debt amongst any group. And this wipes out close to for 90% of people who are making under $75,000 or less. This wipes out all of their college debt. So I think it's a lot to campaign on. It's a promise made, and it was a promise made and a promise delivered on. It could be more. We always want more. I know I got more than $10,000 worth of student debt, but it is a start, and it is something that is unprecedented in American history.
You're right. It is a start and definitely unprecedented. You mentioned bellwether, some of the campaigns earlier, but what races, besides the one in Georgia, do you see for the 24 general election?
Well, I think up and down, there's two things that are really on the docket here. There's kind of control of the Senate, but then also some control of governor's races and other statewide seats in some really major states. You've got Wes Moore, African American, who just won his primary down for the gubernatorial race in Maryland. As I mentioned earlier, Mandela Barnes going against Senator Ron Johnson up in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is over the last few cycles has been a key battleground state. So whoever holds that really holds a lot of sway. In addition to that, you also have down in North Carolina, we also have a Black woman running as there. So there's a few different states that we really want to keep our eye on that are going to be important, not just this year, but as we move into 2024 and the next presidential election cycle.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I really want to ask you is the party has seen some of its most progressive candidates kind of struggle a little bit to get elected. Do you think that progressive movement in America has hit a wall? I mean, I'm talking Nina Turner in Ohio, Ilhan Omar. She barely eked out a win in Minnesota, Mondaire Jones in New York. What do you think?
No, I think we just have our electorate is becoming more dispersed. A lot of progressive ideals have really infused themselves into kind of the political lexicon and what people want. But after a couple years of being in a pandemic, people are looking kind of for a return to normal. So I think that while some of those progressive ideas and candidates that have really been far left, or some of that have been more extreme on the other side as well, while some of their discourse has made its way into our mainstream kind of politics, I think people really are looking just to kind of get back right. Like, we're really just trying to get back what we've lost over the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Cameron, before I let you go, I just wanted you to talk a little bit about just your passion, merging hip hop and politics, and how that came to be for you.
It came to be over the last couple of years. I'm a child of hip hop. I'm raised in the 80s, born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. And all of my years, over the 15 years, kind of working throughout politics, but also working in music and hip hop, I just realized it is probably the last great American group that doesn't have its own political representation. As you can see, some hip hop greats listed right behind me. I think hip hop has something to say. Artists are increasingly becoming more involved politically, been able to bring some from the White House to various campaigns. And I think over now in this election and in future election cycles, you'll only start to see both hip hop artists and people of the hip hop generation really, really make their voices heard.
And how can people follow you, follow your Hip Politics brand? Can you give us the Instagram, website, or anything that you have to share with us?
Sure, you can follow anything at Hip Politics, HIPPOLITICS, and you can also follow me at Mr. Cameron Calvin across all socials.
Thank you. Cameron Trimble, thank you so much for being here today. It was very informative. We'll have to have you back soon.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.